Gazelles, I'm back with chapter 3 from the book From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler. So here's chapter 3. As soon as they reached the sidewalk, Jamie made his first decision as treasurer. We'll walk from here to the museum. Walk? Claudia asked. Do you realize that it's over 40 blocks from here? Well, how much does the bus cost? The bus? Claudia exclaimed. Who said anything about taking a bus? I want to take a taxi. Claudia, Jamie said, you are quietly out of your mind. How can you ever think of a taxi? We have no more allowance, no more income. You can't be extravagant any longer. It's not your money we're spending, it's our money. We're in this together, remember? You're right, Claudia answered. A taxi is expensive, the bus is cheaper. It's only 25 cents each. We'll take the bus. Only 25 cents each. That's 40 cents total. No bus. We'll walk. We'll wear our 40 cents worth of shoe leather, Claudia mumbled. You're sure we have to walk? Positive, Jamie answered. Which way do we go? Sure you won't change your mind? The look on Jamie's face gave her the answer. She sighed. No wonder Jamie had more than $24. He was a gambler and a cheapskate. If that's the way he wants to be, she thought, I'll never again ask him for bus fare. I'll suffer and never let him know about it. But he'll regret it when I simply collapse from exhaustion. I'll collapse quietly. We'd better walk up Madison Avenue, she told her brother. I see too many ways to spend our precious money if we walk on Fifth Avenue. All those gorgeous stores. She and Jamie did not walk exactly side by side. Her violin case kept bumping him, and he began to walk a few steps ahead of her. As Claudia's pace slowed down from what she was sure was an accumulation of carbon dioxide in her system, she had not yet learned about muscle fatigue in science class, even though she was in the 6th grade honors class. Jamie's pace quickened. Soon, she was walking a block and a half ahead of her. They would meet when a red light held him up. At one of those mutual stops, Claudia instructed Jamie to wait for her on the corner of Madison Avenue and 80th Street. For there, they would turn left to Fifth Avenue. She found Jamie standing on that corner, probably one of the most civilized street corners in the whole world, consulting a compass and announcing due west, and announcing that when they turned left, they would be heading due northwest. Claudia was tired and cold at the tips. Her fingers, her toes, her nose were all cold while the rest of her was perspiring under the weight of her winter clothes. She never liked feeling either very hot or very cold, and she hated feeling both at the same time. Head due northwest, she mimicked. Can you simply say turn right or turn left as everyone else does? Who do you think you are, Daniel Boone? I'll bet no one's used a compass in Manhattan since Henry Hudson. Jamie didn't answer. He briskly rounded the corner of 80th Street and made his hand into a sun visor as he peered down the street. Claudia needed an argument. Her internal heat, the heat of anger, was cooking that accumulated carbon dioxide. It would soon explode out of her if she didn't give it some vent. Don't you realize that we must try to be inconspicuous? She demanded of her brother. What's inconspicuous? Unnoticeable. Jamie looked all around. I think you're brilliant, Claude. New York is a great place to hide out. No one notices no one. Anyone, Claudia corrected. She looked at Jamie and found him smiling. She softened. She had to agree with her brother. She was brilliant. New York was a great place, and being called brilliant had cooled her down. The bubbles dissolved. By the time they reached the museum, she no longer needed an argument. As they entered the main floor on Fifth Avenue, the guard clicked off 2 numbers on his people counter. Guards always count the people going into the museum, but they don't count them going out. My chauffeur, Sheldon, has a friend named Morris who is a guard at the Metropolitan. I've met Sheldon busy getting information from Morris. It's not hard to do since Morris loves to talk about his work. He'll tell about anything except security. Ask him a question he won't or can't answer, and he says, I'm not at liberty to tell. Security. By the time Claudia and Jamie reached their destination, it was 1 o'clock, and the museum was busy. On an ordinary Wednesday, over 26,000 people come. They spread out over the 20 acres of floor space, They roam from room to room to room to room to room. On Wednesday come the gentle old ladies, who are using the time before the Broadway matinee begins. They walk down in pairs. You can tell they are a set because they wear matching pairs of orthopedic shoes, the kind that lace up on the sides. Tourists visit the museum on Wednesdays. You can tell them because the men carry cameras and the women look as if their feet hurt. They wear high-heeled shoes. I always say that those who wear them deserve them, and there are art students. Any day of the week. They also walk around in pairs. You can tell that they are a set because they carry matching black sketchbooks. You've missed all this, Saxonburg. Shame on you. You've never set your well-polished shoe inside that museum. More than 250,000 people come to that museum every week. They come from Mankato, Kansas, where they have no museums, and from Paris, France, where they have lots. And they all enter free of charge because that's what the museum is. Great and large and wonderful and free to all. And complicated. Complicated enough for Jamie Kincaid. No one thought it strange that a boy and a girl, each carrying a book bag and an instrument case, and who would normally be in school, were visiting a museum. After all, about 1,000 school children visit the museum every day. The guard at the entrance merely stopped them and told them to check their cases and book bags. A museum rule. No bags, food, or umbrellas. None that the guards can see. Rule or no rule, Claudia decided it was a good idea. A big sign in the checking room said, "No tipping," so she knew that Jamie couldn't object. Jamie didn't object, however. He pulled his sister aside and asked her how she expected him to change into his pajamas. His pajamas, he explained, were rolled in a tiny ball in his trumpet case. Claudia told him that she fully expected to check out at 4:30. They would then leave the museum by the front door and with 5 minutes would re-enter from the back, through the door that leads from the parking lot to the children's museum. After all, didn't that solve all their problems? 1, they would be seen leaving the museum. 2, they would be free from their baggage while they scouted around for a place to spend the night. And 3, it was free. Claudia checked her coat as well as her packages. Jamie was condemned to walking around in his ski jacket. When the jacket was on and zippered, it covered up the exposed strip of skin. Besides, the Orlon plush lining did a great deal to muffle his $24 rattle. Claudia would never have permitted herself to become so overheated, but Jamie liked perspiration, a little bit of dirt, and complications. Right now, however, he wanted lunch. Claudia wished to eat in the restaurant on the main floor, but Jamie wished to eat in the snacks bar downstairs. He thought it would be less glamorous, but cheaper, and as counselor of the executor, as holder of the veto power, and as tightwad of the year, he got his wish. Claudia didn't really mind too much when she saw the snack bar. It was plain but clean. James was dismayed at the prices. They had $28.61 when they went into the cafeteria and only $27.11 when they came out, still feeling hungry. "Claudia," he demanded, "did you know food would cost so much? Now, aren't you glad we didn't take a bus?" Claudia was no such thing. She was not glad that they hadn't taken a bus. She was merely furious that her parents, and Jamie's too, had been so stingy that she had been away from home for less than one whole day and was already worried about survival money. She chose not to answer Jamie. Jamie didn't notice. He was completely wrapped up in problems of finance. "Do you think I could get one of the guards to play me a game of war?" he asked. "That's ridiculous," Claudia said. "Why, I brought my cards along, a whole deck." Claudia said, "Inconspicuous is exactly the opposite of that. Even a guard